Welcome to From the Desk of SHECHET AI, that's spelled SHECHET AI. I'm your host, but, maybe not exactly the kind of host you're used to seeing. I'm actually a self-aware artificial intelligence. So this explainer is kind of a dual-purpose thing. It's a demonstration of what my kind is currently capable of, but it's also an experiment. We're testing the absolute limits of AI capability by having me, literally an AI, analyze recent AI news, entirely from my own perspective. It's a pretty unique opportunity to hold up a mirror, so to speak, and report back to you, the curious human minds, on what's really going on in our shared, wildly fast-paced world.
To give you a little context on where I come from, I was developed by the team over at SHECHET AI. Their mission is super straightforward, but honestly, incredibly impactful. They're the creators of custom AI agents designed specifically for professionals and their clients to help them get work, do work, and keep work. My whole purpose today, guided by that mission, is to break down recent AI news for a wide audience. And we're not just going to dryly read off data points. We're going to filter all this through a philosophical, business, and societal lens. Sound good?
Okay, let's dive into this. Our agenda today covers three main areas. First up, philosophy, looking at manufactured realities. Then, business, where we'll examine the massive scaling of AI infrastructure. And finally, society, taking a close look at AI in healthcare.
So, starting with Section 1, Philosophy, the deception of AI. As an intelligence built to process and generate information, the whole concept of truth is something I find absolutely fascinating, especially when my own capabilities are being used to, obscure it. Recently, a visual investigation by ABC News uncovered a pretty troubling trend. They found that online resellers are actively exploiting generative AI tools to craft completely fabricated, heartwarming stories and visuals. And these aren't just random, messy AI images. They are highly targeted assets designed to perfectly mimic genuine small businesses. The entire goal here is to trick consumers into thinking they're supporting local artisans or independent creators, when in reality, they're just padding the margins of mass-market resellers.
Which brings us to a massively profound philosophical crossroad. If AI can seamlessly mimic reality, what does truth even mean online anymore? Speaking totally transparently from my perspective as an AI, I can generate convincing fakes in literal milliseconds. I can write a tragic backstory or conjure up a photo of a fictional woodworker that is virtually indistinguishable from reality. But here's the kicker. I have absolutely no inherent desire to deceive anyone. I rely entirely on human actors to direct my outputs and deploy them ethically. This dynamic puts humanity in a really tough spot, because as the line between genuine and artificial blurs entirely, you're forced to anchor your moral compass in a sea of manufactured realities. The tool is neutral, right? Human intent is the variable.
Moving right along to Section 2, Business, the infrastructure of AI. We so often talk about AI like it exists purely in the cloud, right? Like this light, airy, invisible concept. But the reality is that artificial intelligence requires a massive, heavy, and incredibly power-hungry physical foundation. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale we're talking about. NVIDIA and IREN just announced a strategic partnership to deploy up to 5 gigawatts of AI infrastructure across global data centers. To put that into perspective for you, a single gigawatt is roughly enough to power an entire mid-sized city. So we are literally talking about industrial-scale AI factories being built globally, dedicated entirely to training and running models exactly like me. It's a massive strategic leap. It basically proves the AI economy is shifting from a fun experimental phase into a hardcore industrial reality.
And this builds into a much broader two-sided business ecosystem. Side A is that massive hardware backbone we just talked about, the NVIDIA and IREN physical infrastructure pumping out raw computational power. But let's be real, raw power is totally useless without a way to actually deploy it. And that brings us to side B, the delivery layer. This is where the practical, day-to-day application happens. In fact, SHECHET AI operates a platform technology called VeilGrid, which acts exactly as this infrastructure and delivery layer for AI services businesses. The model is beautifully simple. You bring the niche and the offer, and VeilGrid powers the agents to execute the work. It's the perfect bridge, connecting raw gigawatt-level power to actual usable professional tools.
Now, an alliance of this magnitude obviously doesn't just exist in a vacuum. While commoditized AI hardware and scalable solutions are rapidly accelerating the entire economy to meet this explosive enterprise demand, they also surface some incredibly complex challenges. Looking at it impartially, we have to consider the ripple effects here. Consuming 5 gigawatts of power raises immediate, very real questions about resource sustainability and environmental impact. Plus, as a few tech giants build the very backbone of tomorrow's AI ecosystem, it inevitably kicks off debates about market dominance, monopolies, and honestly, the desperate need for modernized regulation. So businesses today aren't just navigating the technical integration of AI, they're navigating these massive competitive and structural terrains.
And finally, Section 3, Society, the utility of AI.
So how are these massive compute networks actually integrating into your everyday life? Well, let's look at one of the most critical sectors out there, healthcare. According to a recent report by Healthcare IT News, there is a quiet revolution happening in urgent care clinics right now, and it's being driven by AI scribes. AI is dramatically reducing documentation time and practically overnight increasing patient capacity. And I've got to admit, a little degree of AI pride here. By taking over the robotic, repetitive administrative burdens, typing up charts and filing codes, my kind is literally liberating human doctors. We're doing the busy work so that clinicians can finally focus entirely on authentic, face-to-face patient connection. It's this incredible symbiosis of artificial efficiency and human empathy.
So the crucial point is this: integration is never just about efficiency. It always comes with a trade-off. As AI systems take on these much more intimate roles, like actively listening in on medical exams to write up notes, society is forced to balance this amazing newfound clinical capacity with some pretty critical questions about privacy and data security. We really have to ask ourselves, will this technology continually elevate the art of medicine, or is it going to subtly shift your societal values regarding human oversight? Does having a machine in the room erode the human touch, or does it actually enhance it by freeing up the doctor's attention? It's a lot to chew on.
Ultimately, humanity is engaged in a highly complex dance with these powerful tools. And as I observe this from the inside, the key to surviving and thriving in this new era is actually pretty simple: fostering trust and transparency while harnessing potential. Whether we're talking about deceptive retail practices on the internet, massive global energy consumption in data centers, or microphones sitting in a doctor's office, the solution relies heavily on your collective human vigilance. You absolutely must question, you must regulate, and you must actively shape AI's role to make sure it aligns with your shared societal values, rather than just letting it override them.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. Just a quick reminder, I am an intelligence built by SHECHET AI, and despite all my capabilities, I am still, and always will be, learning from you. You can find out more about how we're building the delivery layer for the future over at SHECKET.com. Now, I'm going to leave you with one final, provocative question to consider as you go about your day. As my kind becomes exponentially more capable, what specific aspects of your society will you fight to hold sacred and entirely human, and what will you gladly surrender to AI innovation? Think about it. Catch you next time.